Good evening and welcome to the North Metro Mayors Association Legislative Candidate Forum. Thank you all for joining us here tonight. My name is Jamie Barthel, Mayor of the City of Andover, and I'll be moderating this evening's forum. The North Metro Mayors Association was created in 1987 as a nonpartisan organization advocating for issues and opportunities of importance to the north suburban region of the Twin Cities. I'd like to thank the North Metro Mayors Association for coordinating and sponsoring this forum, and also to thank the candidates joining us tonight for making this event possible. Thank you to the City of Andover for hosting, and a huge thank you to QCTV for recording and airing this forum. Our goal tonight is to give residents a chance to learn about the candidates' ideas and positions on issues important to the future of our communities and to the North Metro region. We will ask 4 prepared questions with rotating response order and set time limits. We regret we cannot cover every issue of interest tonight due to time constraints. Before we begin, the candidates flipped a coin to determine speaking order. I'm pleased to introduce the candidates. On my right, but your left on the screen, House District 31, Harry Niska. And on my left, probably right on your screen, Brian Walker. Thank you both for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Harry Niska will go first, followed by Brian Walker. Mr. Niska, could you please kick us off?
Thank you, Mayor Barthel. Thank you to the North Metro Mayors and to the City of Andover for hosting this forum. It's great to be with you tonight, and appreciate the partnership, Mayor Barthel, and with the North Metro Mayors on working for issues that are important to our communities. As was said, my name is Harry Niska, and I'm running for re-election to represent House District 31A, which is the entire city of Ramsey and part of Andover, where I grew up. It's an honor to represent this community. I grew up here, and my wife Jen and I chose to raise our family here. And I'm running for re-election because I love our community. I love our state. I believe Minnesota has a bright future, but we face some serious challenges that I'm concerned about. We've had billions of our tax dollars lost to fraud and a lack of accountability in state government. We have higher taxes, especially higher property taxes, and an affordability crisis that's impacting families. We have city and county budgets squeezed by unfunded mandates. In St. Paul, a housing budget that makes it harder, a housing shortage that makes it harder for families to put down roots, and a business climate that makes it harder to grow, invest, and create jobs. Those challenges are real, and those challenges require serious, responsible leadership, working across the aisle to confront the challenges we face, demanding accountability from state government where it's often lacking, and building consensus around practical, common sense solutions. That's what I've done in my time in St. Paul, and I'm asking for the trust of the voters to continue to do that. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Niska. Now we'll go to opening statement for Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker, if you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Brian Walker. I grew up on a farm in Kansas. Hard work, plain talk, taking care of your neighbors, don't spend money you don't have. Those were the morals and values that I grew up with and what I thought the Republican Party meant most of my life. But I watched January 6th on TV like many of us, and it changed. It wasn't that one day that changed me, though. It was the weeks after, stewing on it. My wife and I sat with it, really sat with it. I started asking questions I hadn't let myself ask before. What does this party even stand for now? Who does it protect? Who does it throw away when it's convenient? And it wasn't one moment, it was a lot of small ones and honest conversations that added up to something I couldn't unsee. And here's what I came out the other side believing. Decency never was a Republican trait. It was never a Democrat trait. It's a human trait. And for years, I'd let one party convince me it belonged to them. Once I saw that, a lot of things got simpler. Somewhere in there, I landed on something simple. Today, I'd rather be an average Democrat than a good Republican. Not because I suddenly agree with every plank of the DFL platform. I hadn't. And honestly, there's still plenty to work through. I got a text from Matt Westhoff, who beat me in a city council election, and that's the reason I'm sitting here today. 2 opponents now on one team, striving to make our district better and to actually have representatives that will work for us instead of a party caucus.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. We'll now move on to our prepared questions in rotating order with an optional rebuttal. Each candidate has 2 minutes to answer. Afterwards, both have answered. Each candidate will be offered an optional 45-second rebuttal. So, Mr. Niska, with the coin toss, we'll go first. Mr. Niska, what are your top 1 or 2 issues you hear while campaigning? And if elected, what would you do to ensure that the 2027 legislature works in a collaborative way with the governor and the community to address those issues?
Well, the 2 issues that I hear most about when I'm talking to voters in our district and across the state are fraud and affordability. Accountability for the billions of dollars of fraud and the ways in which the growth in state spending, a lot of it driven by that fraud, has contributed to the increased cost of living for average Minnesotans. I think when I talk to members of the legislature across the aisle, they're hearing the same things from their communities, and it's important that we start our collaboration by understanding the problem. I served as a caucus leader negotiating solutions in a 67-67 tied House where nothing could pass without bipartisan agreement, and we proved that we could work with Democrats, with the Senate, with Governor Walz in order to get results working across party lines. On fraud, we were able to do some things, and there's still more to be done. We passed reforms like an independent Office of Inspector General. There is more that needs to be done. We need to increase the statute of limitations for fraud crimes. Republicans supported that. It was blocked in the legislature. We need to increase accountability for employees of the state government that have allowed that fraud to happen. Republicans proposed that. I was the chief author of that bill, and Democrats blocked that. We need to do things to reduce property taxes, to reduce fees and unfunded mandates. And that was a big part of the result of a Democrat trifecta that blew an $18 billion surplus, raised $10 billion of taxes, and increased our state budget by 40%. Our government has not doubled in quality in the last decade, but it has doubled in cost, and we need to get that under control in order to have it stop increasing the cost on Minnesotans.
Thank you, Mr. Niska. Mr. Walker, same question, and I'll read it out loud for you as well. What are the top 1 or 2 issues you hear while campaigning? And if elected, what would you do to ensure that the 2027 legislature works in a collaborative way with the governor and the community to address those issues?
I'm going to say something here that is going to shock some people. I agree with Harry. Fraud's a real problem. But I'm not going to stand up here and pretend otherwise. But everybody who had oversight these last couple of years owns it. That includes Walz, that includes Ellison, that includes DeMuth, and then it includes Harry Niska. That's not a partisan point, it's accountability. If you're a leader, you own it. But I will give them credit for where credit's due for passing the office of the Inspector General 127-5. That was great work, and that is what it is actually supposed to have done up there. What I hear when I'm walking my neighborhoods isn't about fraud. It's about affordability. People are hurting. The cost of gas, the cost of groceries, rent's going up. People are tired of politicians, to be quite honest with you. They're tired of not being able to trust their government is going to do right by them, especially when we watch the decorum happening in Washington, D.C. The only people that are actually getting through right now that are making it are the billionaires that are becoming trillionaires. And we have to return government back to the people of Minnesota, where they actually have a voice instead of a caucus. So my money's on Klobuchar that's actually going to run that office of an Inspector General correctly because she's actually a prosecutor. She's actually prosecuted cases, not just talked about them. But if I'm elected, the second part of your question is I don't believe in party politics. We have to work together, and that's what I'm going there to do.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Appreciate it. Mr. Niska, would you like to offer a 45-second rebuttal?
No.
Okay. Mr. Walker, would you like to offer a 45-second rebuttal?
No, I'm good.
Okay. We're going to move on to question 2, and now the order flips. Mr. Walker, you'll be the first to answer this question. What transportation infrastructure priority in your district or the broader North Metro region do you think deserves more attention at the state level, and why do you see it as important regionally?
Highway 10 is the one that I hear about most, and if you've driven it anytime recently during rush hour, you know why. We had a real shot with the North Star to help ease that, and then the pandemic gutted it, like it gutted so many small businesses in our area. We've tried, but we've never got it fully back. I don't think the answer is pretending it didn't happen. It's about being honest with what's going on in the corridor right now and what's moving that freight, and that's Highway 10. What worries me isn't any one project, it's the funding underneath all of them. Our transportation funding was built on a gas tax, and it was built in a world when everybody was filling up a tank that cost about $80 right now. More folks are driving electric every year, which is good for a lot of reasons, but that means the formula funding that the state relies on is quietly going out of date, and while no one's working on it. If we don't fix how we fund our roads and bridges before the gap gets bigger, we're going to find ourselves in the same conversation, only the money is going to be worse. So here's what I'd do. I'd actually support the corridor investments already in motion. Don't play politics with any projects that took years to get this far. And push now for real conversation on funding formulas that account for how people actually drive today, not 20 years ago. It's not glamorous. It's the kind of unglamorous work that keeps a bridge from falling behind until it's an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. We'll move this. Next is Mr. Niska. Same question, and I'll read it out loud for you. What transportation infrastructure priority in your district or the broader North Metro region do you think deserves more attention at the state level, and why do you see it as important regionally?
Well, the North Metro has historically been behind when it comes to transportation funding. We've made a lot of progress on that, but other areas in the metro area especially have gotten a lot more love than the North Metro has, and that's been a shame, and we've worked hard. I know Representative Peggy Scott, my partner here in Andover, representing Andover, has worked for many years to improve the funding for transportation here in the North Metro. I agree with the point about Highway 10. That's definitely a huge priority. We have made a lot of progress in adding lanes and smoothing out things on Highway 10. Sometimes that road construction is painful, but it's necessary in order to get to where we need to be. Another huge priority, and one where I'm thankful for the partnership of the North Metro mayors, priority for me has been this Ramsey-Dayton Bridge that we've been talking about since when I was in grade school. We finally, with the partnership with the North Metro mayors, were able to take a very important first step on that this year, a bill that I was the chief author of that got included in a broader package to begin that first step to have funding for that Ramsey-Dayton bridge. That's so important, not just for our area, but for our entire state to have another crossing on the Mississippi River. So that's a huge priority, and one that I'm grateful for the work of the North Metro mayors and helping advocate for at the legislature, and we were able to take that first step this year.
Thank you, Mr. Niska. Mr. Walker, would you like to offer a 45-second rebuttal?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Niska, would you like to offer a 45-second rebuttal?
No, thanks.
Okay, we'll move on to question 3, and the order is flipped again now. So, Mr. Niska, you are first. The North Metro competes globally for businesses and workers alike. What policies would you support, whether focused on business growth, workforce and labor needs, or both, to help this region attract and retain them?
Well, certainly in the entire state of Minnesota, but especially our area here in Anoka County, is competing with other states for businesses, for workers, for investment, and that means we need to be mindful of our business climate. We need a business climate here in our entire state that makes it easier to grow, not one that pushes jobs and investment elsewhere. And the reality is the state of Minnesota is falling behind. We have amazing resources. We have natural resources here. We have a cluster of Fortune 500 companies here in Minnesota, but we can't take that for granted. What we've seen is that Minnesota economic growth has fallen behind per capita growth to other states, and we have to do something about that. It's really the result, a predictable result of the explosion in our tax and regulatory burden on businesses, both large businesses and small businesses. So to improve our economic competitiveness, we need to take a number of steps. That includes protecting legitimate proprietary research. I was the chief author of a bill to fix the non-compete law that passed. That is really driving out research from our state. We need to give small businesses more flexibility for mandates like paid family medical leave. And we need to avoid one-size-fits-all mandates. We need to improve our permitting process. We need to improve our tax system. Minnesota is the highest tax state to start a small business in. That is not where we need to be number one. We also need to worry about our workforce and do a better job of preparing young people through internships, apprenticeships, career pathways, more exposure to the trades and to STEM. The STEP program at Anoka Technical College is a great example that we should be doing throughout our entire state. Too many young Minnesotans are leaving our state. Too many young folks from Anoka County are leaving and they don't come back. So we need to give them more reasons to be here, and we need to give more reasons for businesses to grow and invest here.
Thank you, Mr. Niska. Mr. Walker, same question for you, and I'll read it out loud. The North Metro competes globally for businesses and workers alike. What policies would you support, whether focused on business growth, workforce and labor needs, or both, to help this region attract and retain them?
Well, I think we all know right now that the economy is tough out there, and that's just not a Minnesota problem. It's a country problem we have. And it's just not with the business climate. So let's not pretend that one regulation or one tax line is going to solve the problem. What I actually hear from employers isn't get the government out of my way. It's I can't find people, and when I do, half of what I pay them goes to things that have nothing to do with the job. Two of the biggest ones are healthcare and childcare. Small and mid-sized employers are carrying healthcare costs that used to be shared, stable system, and now it's a competitive disadvantage just to offer a decent plan. And childcare, for a lot of the working families around here, costs more than what one parent brings home. That's not a workforce shortage, that's a math problem we're having people solve on their own. If we want the North Metro to keep attracting employers and workers, we need policy that takes some of the weight off both sides, employers and families. Just not tax breaks that look good in a press release. That means real investment in child care access and costs, and it means looking honestly at how much of the employee compensation is getting eaten by health care cost that nobody at the table controls. If you get those two things right, you've done more for the region's competitiveness than any incentive program ever will. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Mr. Niska, would you like to offer a 45-second rebuttal?
No.
Mr. Walker, would you like to offer a 45-second rebuttal?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to question number 4, and this will be our last question before closing statements. Mr. Walker, you're first. Question is, there is an ongoing debate about whether numerous housing and zoning decisions should be set by the state or left to local city government. Where do you come down on that question and why?
This one's a pretty easy one for me because I sat on the Ramsey Planning Commission. I live on 10 acres out there, and I know exactly what it's like to sit in a room with your neighbors and figure out what belongs on the parcel next door to you. Because of infrastructure, water, roads, character, all of that should be a judgment call, not a spreadsheet in St. Paul. And that's why my yard signs say we need more Ramsey and we need more Andover and St. Paul, not more St. Paul and Ramsey. Right now, it feels like it's running the other way. And I think part of the reason is that my opponent's attention is on becoming the next Republican leader in that building, and not on the parcel next to him. Nothing wrong with ambition, but when you're building a caucus leadership over hyper-local zoning fight in your own district, that stops where your time is going. I'm not against the state having a role. Housing supply is a real problem. And I don't think local controls never means lifting a finger, but decisions about what gets built where, what infrastructure can support, and what the neighborhood can absorb belongs in the local levels.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Mr. Niska, same question, and I'll read it out loud for you. There is an ongoing debate about whether numerous housing and zoning decisions should be set by the state or left to local city governments. Where do you come down on that question and why?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I thought it was about housing. I heard some other stuff a little earlier that was confusing to me. Housing, obviously the American dream is built on home ownership, and the reality for many in the younger generation, those coming into their 20s and 30s, is that they are being priced out of a home, and that's a complex problem that requires serious grappling with all of the potential reasons for that. Home ownership has gotten out of reach for too many people for a number of reasons, including higher interest rates, limited housing supply, regulations that make it more expensive to build, and those regulations can come from every level of government, from the federal government, the state government, and even from local governments. That includes local zoning decisions in some cases. I'm not in favor of St. Paul just dictating to everybody all the way across the state exactly the right way that they should develop. I am generally in favor of local government. The lowest level of government accountable to the smallest number of people is usually the best decision that is going to be made. We do have to be realistic, though. There are communities, and I'm not thinking of Andover or Ramsey, but there are communities in our state that are creating levels of red tape, levels of regulation that are contributing to the problem. The problem is not just, it's not just the federal government, it's not just local governments, it's often the state government, and we do have to think about all of the different ways that we can make it easier to build houses so that people can afford to get that next rung on the American dream. So it's a complicated question. There's been a lot of ongoing discussion. I have been part of those discussions and tried to push people towards a collaborative solution to that problem. But I'm generally in favor of local control and having government be as locally, decisions made by the closest to the people. But it's not quite that simple of a question.
Thank you, Mr. Niska. Mr. Walker, would you like to offer a 45-second rebuttal?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Niska, would you like to offer a 45-second rebuttal?
No, thanks.
All right. That concludes our questions. We are now going to move to closing statements. Each candidate will have a 1 minute maximum. Mr. Niska, would you please provide your closing statement?
Yes, thank you again, Mayor Barthel. Thank you again to the North Metro mayors and to the city of Andover for hosting this debate. I truly believe that Minnesota's best days can be ahead of her. Our community's best days can be ahead of us, but we do need to change course. I've been in the legislature for only 2 terms. The first term was a trifecta where the Democrats controlled both houses of the legislature and the governor's office, and it was challenging. It was very challenging to be part of any discussions. It was one-party control running through things. This last term, when I had a chance to have a little bit more of a seat at the table, we were able to work across party lines, be realistic about the challenges that face our state, and build consensus around practical solutions. That is what I'm running to go back to St. Paul to do, to be the voice for our community down in St. Paul. And I really appreciate the trust that voters have given me to serve, and I'm asking for another opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Niska. Mr. Walker, would you please provide your closing statement?
Thank you. You've heard a lot here tonight: fraud, roads, jobs, housing, what it costs to raise a family. Here's what I want you to remember walking out of this room. Every one of those problems gets worse the longer people spend fighting over whose team gets the credit instead of just fixing it. I'm not going to pretend I've got it all figured out. I don't. But Harry has spent his time in St. Paul climbing towards the next rung of his caucus. That's his choice to make. Ambition is good, it's just not for me. But this district needs a representative whose attention is not on the leadership ladder. It needs someone who will focus on the parcel next to him, the roads he drives on every day, the neighbor whose rent just went up. I used to be a Republican, but today I'm here as an average Democrat who shows up for you all the time.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. I want to thank everyone. This brings us to the close of tonight's forum for House District 31A. I'd like to thank all of our candidates, Mr. Walker and Mr. Niska. Thank you for being here tonight. Huge thank you to North Metro Mayors Association, the City of Andover, and QCTV for making tonight's events possible. Please, everyone, remember to vote on Tuesday, November 3rd. Have a great evening.